This video is sponsored by Full Reptile Collective, brought to you by Dan Hardy. Head over to their website at fullreptile.co.uk where you can find anything from training gear, t-shirts, hoodies, all the way to coffee. For an exclusive 10% off, use Dan Said So at checkout. Make sure to also check out their YouTube channel for some of the best MMA content out there, bar my own. Let's get back to the video. Alright guys, UFC 273 is absolutely stacked on the 9th of April. And one of the fights on the main card that we're really excited about here is Kelvin Gastelum returning against Nassourdine Imavov, who looks like he's going to cause a lot of trouble to some individuals in this weight class, because beating Ian Heinisch with a stoppage and crucifying literally Edmund Shabazian, it's built a little hype around his name, but he's getting tested by, we all call him the fat, or I definitely do, the fat welterweight in Kelvin Gastelum, who had his good run a few years ago now, and he's been on an absolute downward spiral, but he's only losing to, I would consider, the best people in the division, as in Israel Adesanya, Darren Till, Jack Hermansson, Robert Whittaker, and Jared Cannonier. You cannot get more rank champion to rank 6. Like, that is the ranks. He's lost to them all, but he's beating the guys ranked 7 to 15.
Mm-hmm.
Where Imavov is now placed. Do you see him beating Imavov, and how so?
So, poor Kelvin Gastelum. I think everyone loves Kelvin, right? Like, he's a great guy. At one point, he challenged for the interim belt and had, pushed Israel Adesanya to the brinks there. That was something we really hadn't seen, I think, ever up until that point. And then, from that point on, it was just loss, win, loss against the killers. And then, you still see that win over Ian Heinisch, and you're like, okay, so he's still good. He's still top 15. He deserves that. I know a lot of people think that he could probably cut down to 170. I believe, easily, he could lose the weight. He could do that. He's not a particularly big guy. He's only 5'9".
Mm-hmm.
But he is a very good wrestler. He has one of the best chins I've seen. Great cardio, has the power. And that's why I like his chances against Imavov. So the fight that I was able to go look back at was actually Imavov losing to Phil Hawes.
Mm-hmm.
And Phil Hawes is, this extremely big, strong, sturdy guy. I think he was a D1 wrestler. And the way that he was able to win that fight was really pushing Imavov up against the cage, not giving him any distance to where he could, strike, because that's what he's known for. The Russian sniper, I think they call him. So it's really, pushing him up against the cage, working some takedowns in there, and kind of implementing that game plan that he also has as well. Imavov is a great grappler and wrestler as well, but if you can kind of flip the switch and bring it to him, that's where Phil Hawes was winning. And even Ian Heinisch, if you go back and watch that fight, in the first minute or two, Ian Heinisch immediately pushes him up against the cage. And that's where I thought he was finding success. And it was as soon as they kind of split apart, where Imavov then gets to work on the distance, because he's such a long, rangy fighter. That's kind of where you start to lose him. So Kelvin Gastelum needs to, take a page from that book and be the aggressor. He needs to bring the fight to Imavov. And that's something that I think 100% he's capable of doing. He can't give him any space. It's just, is he going to choose to do that? It's going to be tough, because the difference here is it's 6'3" versus 5'9". It's 75-inch versus 71-inch. That's not in his favor. But if he's able to get inside the distance, it's only a 3-round fight. Like, I think he could steal 2 rounds, 100%. He is a good wrestler. We've seen that.
Yeah, I think that definitely favors Gastelum more, the fact it's a 3-round fight.
Yeah.
He's always the shorter guy, always. So,
yep.
It's no surprise that the game plan for him isn't stand long, which he actually likes to do, weirdly. He likes to have a long, extended jab to almost measure his own distance. But when you're facing Imavov, who, as you say, controls range beautifully, he's got very unorthodox movement, but with very traditional striking, especially his high kicks. They come off a very telegraphed hip movement, essentially. You can see him planning the high kick. He doesn't just do it without a tell. But he's super unorthodox. He's got brilliant grappling as well, which you don't see too often in the middleweight division. Someone that has such high level grappling and wrestling and does both. Like, he will implement both game plans. it's a real dangerous fight for Kelvin. He's an absolute wicked black belt on the ground, even though he tends not to use it, which is mind blowing to me when you have that pedigree of jiu-jitsu about you. Um, I can't see him getting inside the range of Imavov continuously enough to hurt him bad enough. I think Imavov's going to be on his bike for a lot of this fight and be able to keep him at distance, pity patter him a little bit, and one of these devastating shots is gonna make Kelvin hesitate more, which will just allow the flow of range and the flow of control almost for Imavov to the point where he can back him up. As you say, if Gastelum can back him up against the cage and unload some heavy hooks that we know he's got, loves to plant his heels and loves to dig into the body. He's a very good boxer, very underrated boxer. He showed that against Till. You know, in that second round was competitive. The first and third, not so much, but I definitely think this is the best opportunity for Kelvin to get back on the horse. It's a shark tank, isn't it, for Kelvin, man? Because if he loses this, that's losing 6 of the last 7, isn't it? That's pretty brutal.
It is. It is.
He needs to maybe change weight, maybe go back down.
There's a pretty big drop off too, where these guys are ranked. You know, Gastelum's 10 right now. Imavov is 11. Below that, you get Brad Tavares, Chris Weidman's there, Shabazian's there. Like it seems like he fits in that category more so. And then when you start getting into like the top, 7 or 8, it's like the Darren Tills, Jack Hermanson, Brunson. That seems to be where Imavov, like his ceiling is definitely a lot higher at this point. This is going to be a super tough fight for Gastelum. I don't know if I'm going to pick. I want to pick Gastelum, I really do, but Imavov's ceiling is super high, and I imagine he learned from the Phil Haas fight. Phil Haas is such like he had a ton of power as well. I think he respected that power and kind of allowed Haas to bully him a little bit. I don't think that's going to happen this time around. I think he's probably learned that lesson. He's now on the 2-fight win streak against good competition, Heinisch and Shabazian. So, this is probably a stepping stone for Imavov. It really is. It's just, it's tough for Gastelum. I don't know what you do. I don't think he'll get cut. I don't think the UFC will cut him just yet. But a drop down to 170 might not be the worst decision.
I think it's imminent. He has to lose some of that fat. He's a big chubby guy for 170, but if Kamaru Usman can make 170, all that tells me is you are not disciplined enough. That's all it tells me. You see some of these guys killing themselves to make weight. I don't think he has to kill himself to make 170 at all. There's, guys are 6'2", 6'3" in 170. He's 5'9". He's just stocky. There's nothing more to him. He's not. It's not rocket science to lose the weight. He just likes his food. I think. But
no, you're right. I think he could easily make 170. I really do. Like you said, it's just a matter of does he want to cut weight? Some people are just strictly against doing that, which is fine. But this is honestly it's a bad fight for him. The shorter, stockier guy. I don't know if he'll have enough to bully Imavov. I think Imavov will be able to use his game plan like he always does.
Yeah. This coming out party for Imavov, then get a good name under his belt, and then kind of, I wouldn't be surprised if he calls out someone like a Darren Till or a Strickland after this, someone, ranked 5 to 8. That'd be a good call. Uriah Hall, if he wants to fight, all these sort of names that gaining experience for Imavov, because he's still relatively green in his MMA career as well. But beating guys like Ian Heinisch, who is a superb wrestler that tends to like to strike for some reason, and Shabazian, who is a very good boxer in his own right, beating these guys convincingly and finishing them is the most impressive thing to me. It's something that Kelvin is not doing, not even winning. So I think you've got to be quite brave to bet Gastelum here, coming off a complete downward spiral. The only positive I can say is he's not being finished himself, other than the heel hook.
Yes, and that's actually kind of funny because I was just going to say, I can almost guarantee you if Imavov wins this fight, his next fight is going to be Jack Hermanson. Yeah, just looking at the rankings, he's number 7 right now because he's not going to get a Brunson, a Costa, a Vittori. Like he's not going to get those guys. Darren Till's not going to want to fight him. He's going to, I'm telling you, Jack Hermanson's the next on the list. He jumps up to number 7.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Okay, so we've both got Imavov. I'm going to actually say finishes Kelvin in the 3rd round.
Wow. TKO?
TKO. I think he finishes him.
I can't say. I honestly, Kelvin has one of the best chins I've seen. I'll go decision. I won't do him dirty like that.
But we've both got Imavov, guys. Who are you taking? Let us know in the comments below, guys, if you think we are correct with Imavov or whether you think Gastelum isn't done yet and he's going to pull it up an upset.